Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Cummins, and today I'm going to be continuing with my reaction on the book Fuel by H.G. Tudor. Today we're working on chapter 4, and the title of that chapter is Forms of Delivery. Delivery of the fuel, of course. H.G. Tudor grades the nature of the fuel that he receives, and he tells us who gives him a potent amount of fuel and who gives him lower amounts of that fuel. Then he also rates behaviors such as gestures and words, whether they're admiring, attentive, loving, or angry. And the neutral responses then fall on a very low level. He gets very little fuel from somebody who has neutral reactions. So he's not going to work really hard to get you into his inner circle of friends, and definitely you wouldn't make it into be a partner, intimate partner. Then you might wonder, why do these empaths stay in these abusive relationships? And it is because during the love bombing phase, there is psychological programming or addictive programming going on where your needs and wants are going to be indulged. And this makes it really difficult, because once you develop this addiction, because you feel so good when you're being indulged, especially with that particular thing that you always wanted or didn't even know you wanted, and he's able to zone in on that, he or she, and you become addicted. And so here I'm going to be talking about the mother archetype, and the mother can be loving or unloving. And then I'm going to round it up with talking about mechanistic consciousness, because we saw in an earlier chapter how Tudor sees you as an object, just a machine. And so I will go into that, how that is in society. So in this chapter 4, H.G. Tudor describes the types of relationships that provide him with the best fuel, and those relationships that give him a low or weak supply of fuel, as we said above. For instance, both his intimate partner and H.G. Tudor's mistress supplies good fuel and gives him 9 points, whereas a stranger supplies him with just 2 points. He also rates the types of behavior. Admiring words supply him with 9 points. When he hurts you and the tears flow, he gets 12 points from that gesture. But it is nasty, tearful words directed at him where he gets 13 points. Words are rated higher than gestures. We learn that fuel is a necessity, and that they must hunt for it every hour of every day, relentlessly. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist who has little to no conscience, there will always be triangulation. Both can be used in psychological games against each other to generate the preferred fuel for them. These ones without a conscience are stone cold and dangerous, and they have no remorse for anything they put you through. They are empty inside and must rely on others to feel anything, and mostly what they feel is rage, power, and scornful joy. He says that he and his kind need vast quantities of fuel, and it is the only reason that an empath is useful to them. They dehumanize and control you, and this empowers them. We learn that one is not allowed to leave them, and if you do, they will harass you online, character assassinate you, and do whatever it takes to keep you pinned and under their control. Their motive is to get as much as they can. They surround themselves with givers, and they believe that givers are stupid. When an empath or codependent gets entangled with one of these, it is difficult to break free of the relationship, as the love bombing phase causes addiction. Now here's a description of the love bombing by Sam Vaknin, a sociopath. Quote, "The narcissist allows you to experience what he calls perfect love. The love bombing phase is a new sensation of falling in love with a perfect you. The narcissist offers you what your mother should have offered you. In the grooming phase, the narcissist simulates highly effective, perfect love." End of quote. This is a mother issue. The narcissist wants you to be in a parasitic relationship with them. This is the unloving mother who manifests as either smother mother or aloof mother, both of which control through abandonment. Smother mother is used during the love bombing phase to create the addiction. Then slowly the persecution phase comes online, and aloofness is used with random reinforcement of increasingly smaller moments of love bombing, until there is only the reinforcement of persecution through aloofness. All the while, the narcissist continues to receive smother mother from the partner. This gives them a feeling of incredible superiority, that they are smart enough to stop giving and they can still get. Vaknin is talking here about smother mother. This is a misconception about unconditional love, and we see it in society too. It stems from an anger at God, because they've been cut off from God. They erect this idea of human rights in society, to indulge oneself and to be indulged. The federal welfare system represents the unloving mother. The mechanized mother indulges. The angry and entitled children demand all the creature comforts from the mother. She is the maid, the cook, and the provider of his or her needs. As the aloof mother, she is also menacing, in that she can cut off the supply at any time. This is the mother that the narcissist chooses to be, controlling through aloofness and abandonment, while still receiving smother mother. But this is not authentic love. If we look at the mother archetype as described by Brian Emanuel Gray and Caroline Hansky in the book Why We Do What We Do, 4 Pathways to Your Authentic Self, we see that the loving mother can be seen as the inner teacher that nurtures, guides, and helps us navigate through life's challenges and helps us to be authentic. She's warm and encouraging and provides strength in challenging times. In short, she helps you to succeed in being independent. If the loving mother is developed within, you are less likely to have a codependent relationship and entrapment with a narcissist. And here's a quote from that book, Why We Do What We Do. It says, quote, "Nurtured by our inner teacher, we do not have to rely on others to feel whole. We can focus on giving and receiving in appropriate ways. We can go the extra mile when that is what is called for, and we do not feel spent. We can also love selflessly, because we know that the mother's love is not given to spoil us with indulgence, but to soften our hearts, that we may in turn soften others with kindness." End of quote. We see that the psychology is very different between an empath and those who do not have a conscience. The tenderness of the loving mother is in stark contrast to the addictive, mechanistic form of love bombing and creature comforts of the unloving smother mother. Once the empath is addicted, the narcissist uses the other side of unloving mother, being aloof, to increase the empath's pursuing and giving, thereby establishing the intellectual superiority that they seek. Now I'm going to get into the mechanization concept in society. I've added some pictures of robots and also some images of freedom just for contrast. We learned in an earlier chapter that these mechanistic types are at the upper levels of power. They have created a mechanistic world from the top down, where we are now hearing about a post-human world. AI and robots are rising like never before. Technology is growing exponentially, quantum AI increasing by 36.5% yearly. Scientists use AI to enhance our bodies and we become part machine, part human, a cyborg. As well as prosthetic limbs and other health benefits, there is BCI, brain-computer interface, that can improve cognition and memory. The Trump administration, through Bobby Kennedy Jr., are recommending wearables that will track and control your biometrics and enable predictive health profiling. Our moods and thoughts will be monitored and judged by the state for security. For now it is voluntary, but in the not-too-distant future it will be mandatory. We've grown accustomed to censorship and surveillance and are walking into a technological cage with no escape. Examples are the 15-minute cities around the world. If you do not live there, you will need permission to enter. With an RFID chip in your hand, you won't really need keys and passwords. To fly, we all now need a real ID within our nation's borders and get checked and machine scanned, and occasionally a transport security agent might do an invasive body pat-down, as if we were criminals. Joost Meerlo, in his book The Rape of the Mind, speaks about technology and suggests that technological thinking is invading our minds, and he sees the ever-increasing technocracy leading to a simplified push-button society that can only lead to atomic catastrophe. He believes that technology unknown to yourself leads to an infantile and servile attitude. Children raised with gadgets and modern devices, smartphones, television programming, where the senses are stimulated with a reality they do not participate in. They get almost no quiet time, less time to engage and interact with each other, using their imagination. This leads to isolation. The vision needed to bring forth technology is now stifled by that technology. The human doesn't produce anymore, and automation takes the challenge and initiative away. And what at first brought comfort and luxury now promotes idleness and laziness. And a final quote from Joost Meerlo. Any influence that tends to rob man of his free mind can reduce him to robotism. Any influence which destroys the individual can destroy the whole of society. End of quote. So now we come to the conclusion of Chapter 4. Sam Vaknin is correct when he suggests that we need the mother, but it is a loving mother that we need. You can sense his anger at the mother when he states that the narcissist gives you the love that your mother, quote-unquote, should have given you. He is speaking only of smother mother, and only the narcissist feels entitled to receive it, and will engage in the addictive deception of love bombing to get it. For narcissists, love is a game, but it is not really love, it is indulgence. It is difficult to deal with this kind of situation if in early childhood you had a primary caregiver who was aloof or smother mother, who flatters and gushes sympathetically, gives you things in place of giving of herself. But when you really need her, she is empty and aloof. There is a scene in the movie The King's Speech where King Edward VIII, who became king after his father's death, he was inaugurated in 1936 and abdicated that same year. He was in love with the American divorcee Wallis Simpson, and in those days a monarch could not marry a divorcee. So in the scene in the movie, right after his father passes. He's just realizing the enormity of the situation and his inner conflict about not being able to marry Wallace. He breaks down, moves towards his mother, who is in the room, throws his arm around her and sobs. His mother just stood there in bewilderment. She put her arms and hands out, but this is unloving, overly aloof mother. She cannot reach out to comfort or encourage. The narcissist wants a relationship with a mother figure who gives and gives, takes care of their needs without expecting anything in return. The narcissist does not want real love. It feels threatening to them. They associate love with rejection, and to maintain their status they must reject love, as it is a threat to the grandiose construct they have built around themselves. As we realize that they are only interested in fake love and we see through it, we begin to gain control over it. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time for Chapter 5.